Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom. The why, the what, and the how. We're on section 3 of my book, The How. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, and Japanese to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Talk to me about this stuff at the Minecraft Education Ambassadors, the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, Roxem, studio-nemo.com, or today we're going to continue our discussion about Duolingo and the Duolingo Educators Network, which I am very involved in. I'm going to pause now so we can link our beautiful theme song in that Saidobid and Rigoberto helped me with for Look No Feather.
It's the best way for you to learn another language. Duolingo!
In our previous episode, we'd been talking about Duolingo's listening exercises, such as the podcasts or the headphone stepping stones. We've been talking about how to read that delicious data, which will help you in your evaluations. We've been talking about all the supports that Duolingo gives us as teachers and the Duolingo Educators Network, where you can take advantage of all those supports. And then I was long-winded, so I was going to talk about making a classroom. So before you can get to some of the following bells and whistles, you're going to need to make a classroom, which unlocks several things, okay? Your students never see advertisements again. And let me reiterate, this is entirely free. Do not pay for anything. Absolutely do not pay for anything. You can buy Duolingo Super, you can buy Duolingo Max. What you do when you're doing that is you're paying it forward because Duolingo has a mission for free education. Your students don't have to deal with the heart system. Okay, so the heart system is basically, if you make too many mistakes, then you have to start over again. Okay, but that's great. I took that out. Okay, you could track your students very easily. I showed you how to do that in the last episode. Different types of CSVs. And let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so let me take you to Duolingo first. Hold on a second. And here we are in regular Duolingo. This is what your students see, and hopefully you're doing lessons too so that you know what your students are experiencing. All right, so learn is right here. Quests, you can look at like what the specific quests are. Oh, French quests have started. And then shop, there's some stuff in the shop that you buy with your gems. I've got my gems right up here. Okay, yes, I've got a lot. I've been doing this a while. Don't panic at my streak. That's because there was a power outage actually 2,726 days ago. But anyway, if I'm going to assign something to my students, I want to show them that I do it too. I'm never going to have them do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So by golly, I keep my streak up. Profile tells you stuff about yourself right here and more, right? Oops, come on. All right, so right here it says schools, and when you're signing your students up the first time, they might accidentally click here. Just tell them not to click here. You click here to create your classroom, okay? Podcast will take you to that list of podcasts that I showed you before, okay? And then there's settings here, and then help, and then a log out, of course. So now I can go back and show you my screenshots because I don't want to show you my students. All right, so once you create a classroom, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, it says Duolingo for Schools here, and this is separate from what you were just seeing. This is your classroom where you can track your students. These are the names of all my classes here, some of them, because you can see I got to scroll down to get all of them. And then my name, my account, if I want to edit that. And then the name of the classroom here. And you see there's 3 tabs, and we'll talk about these in a second. But right now, you're always on the student view when you start. Okay, so it tells you how many students you have in your class. And it tells you, this is summertime. So my screenshots are showing that they're not doing anything because it's summertime. Okay, some of them have done stuff. Right here, export activity. This is the button you're going to click if you want that CSV that tells you everything that your students have done. And then manage students if you need to put in their emails or send them a link or whatever, or move them around, move them to another class. That's right there. Now on the right hand side, you're going to get two things, okay? You're going to get, first of all, your assignment, the assignment that's going in right now, and you can go straight to it right there. You can see your leaderboard, or at least part of your leaderboard. You click here to see the whole leaderboard, all right? And I love classroom leaderboards. We'll talk that in a moment. And if you scroll down, you see each individual student right over here. So you can get more detail on them right here, but I only took a screenshot of this much, so. Now, that's the Students tab. When you click on the Reports tab, you see everything that you've assigned. And there's two sections for this. There's the stuff that's going on right now, or that you have in the future, or the stuff that is already passed. So I've scrolled down a little bit so you can see the stuff that's already passed, because I wanted you to see that when you click on one of these, over in the right here, it tells you, first of all, when it happened. There's a gear so you can edit it if you need to edit it. Oh, I want it to keep going. I didn't want it to stop yet, whatever. I want a different amount, okay? And then right here is more delicious data. It tells you how long it took the students to do it. I guess it was really hard for them because normally it doesn't take 11 minutes. How many students, oh, not how many, how their accuracy was. Ooh, this was not a good one. Not all my, I should have chosen a different one. Not all my students did this one. It must have been over break. This is February, right? Must have been over our winter break. And then how many students were late. And then when I scroll down, I can see instantly how much XP each student got. Okay, so it'll be a green check mark next to their name, and it'll say, I think this was 75 points. Yeah, 75 points. It'll say 75 out of 75, green check mark. It'll say 75 out of 75, yellow check mark if they were late. And it'll say 57 out of 75, red check mark if they haven't finished it yet. So you can differentiate by saying, okay, the student did this much. They did, 75% of it. I'll give them a 75% in the grade book or whatever. Or you can, however you want to grade it. But it's really easy to see at a glance. Now, the last setting, the last tab, the Settings tab, is where you're going to give the students the classroom code. And if they're on the cell phone, they go into the gear and they click on the face and the gear, and then they scroll down till they see Duolingo for Schools and they put that in. If they're on the computer, just give them this URL, okay? Hit the copy button for both these if you want, and give them the URL. They click on it, they're instantly in, okay? And if they've never done Duolingo before, they'll be asked if they want to take a placement test or start at the beginning, and you can tell them what you want them to do. If they're first year, say start at the beginning. And if it turns out that they need to take a placement test later, I'll show you how to get around that in a bit. But over here on the left, okay, so I've scrolled down past all my classes. Here's my archive class. I could create a new class. And right here, the privacy settings. I want to show you some of these things, okay? Privacy settings is what I'm going to show you next, but look at this teacher training. That will take you to all the videos about this that Bridget and the rest of us did in the Duolingo Educators Network, okay? So you can look at that, and that's got more up-to-date video than what I had on the Look No Feather playlist. Look No Feather is still good. It's still all the same stuff. It's just the pictures look a little out of date because Duolingo has changed to a path form instead of a tree. So let's look first of all at the privacy settings, because this is what I really encourage you to do, is go to the privacy settings and scroll down till you see classroom leaderboards. I highly, highly, highly suggest you do classroom leaderboards for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's better for your students to not be competing against everyone in the entire world. There's kind of a privacy issue of, even if your students are using fake names, somebody elsewhere in the world can say, hey, that person's doing really well. I think I want to follow them and see how their progress is because it's going to motivate me, which is a great thing. But your students are under 18 years of age. So I would suggest you just enable classroom leaderboards, and now your students are competing with each other in the class. And that is highly motivating. When you show your classroom leaderboards, I suggest only show the top 10. Don't show the bottom students, because I don't ever personally want to make my students' effective filters higher. I don't want my students to feel bad about, everyone knows I'm a mess up. I want them to feel a sense of camaraderie in the class. So I don't ever show them the bottom of the leaderboard. I only show, hey, these are the top 10. Do you guys, the other 26 of you, do you think you can beat the top 10 next week? Let's try. But anyway, you can set the classroom leaderboards and you can decide when they're going to start. And I like to leave it at the default of it starts on Sunday, which is fine. Okay, there's a lot of extra resources I told you about on the Duolingo Educators Network. There's stories, templates, podcast supports, game boards, student trackers, Free diagrams, sub lessons. Those are all in a Google Drive that we've got on the Educators Network. Please join the Duolingo's Educators Network. Please, please, please. I want to talk to you there. I want to bounce ideas off of you. I want to hear your ideas. Everything's free. Everything's free. Everything's free. I don't know how many times I need to say that. Everything's free. You don't have to make a classroom. I know plenty of people who don't make a classroom. They just tell their students it's there. That's fine. I know plenty of people who don't make a classroom. They have their students send them screenshots. But frankly, making a classroom makes it so easy to see what your students are doing, even if you don't ever choose to put it in the gradebook. It's a good way to push out assignments to the students and just to track their progress and see, hey, are you guys getting it? Are you understanding? Totally free. I used to assign workbooks. I had a workbook that came with my textbook, and of course I had to have a textbook and I had to have the workbook. And man, it was pulling teeth to get the students to do the workbook, and then they'd turn it in and I'd have 136, if I was lucky, if everyone turned it in, because everyone didn't turn it in, but 136 different handwriting samples to go through and grade them all and give them feedback and everything. And Duolingo has basically solved that for me. Most of my students, it's summertime, you saw, they're not doing it right now. I do have assignments going over the summer right now, but most of the students aren't going to do it. But during the school year, and of course the other one I showed you was really bad too. Generally, I only have maybe one student a class who doesn't do his Duolingo consistently. Everyone else loves it. I'm over 10 minutes again, aren't I? I am so long-winded. Next episode, I'm going to tell you how I use Duolingo in my classroom, because I don't have my students sitting behind a computer screen. That I only do for our project-based stuff with Minecraft and our games with Blukit or Roxem. Duolingo is homework for me personally. So I'll talk about that next time. Hope to see you there.